Greetings. Greetings, everyone. And for those of you live today, it is a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. But I felt I couldn't hold on any longer. Now, I know my last two solos have been somewhat focused on the same subject. I don't think I could hit it home hard enough. And there's little nuances to each of them. But I believe this one will be my most inclusive. I appreciate you being live, especially if you're live. I really do feel every minute matters. This weekend, you could take yourself to another level in terms of the things that I'm going to talk about. And I didn't want to hold back any longer. But even if you're going to watch this in a recording, no matter what time, I feel it's going to be of tremendous value. I'm calling this the AI Native Family Office. What I built, what I run, and why it changes everything. What I'm going to do a little different is I'm going to go through probably about 25, 30, 35 minutes. I do want audience interaction. I am really going to open up the floor, so to speak, at the end for a Q&A. Actually, because some of you noted on my StreamYard platform, sometimes things don't appear to go through. And many of you are friends of mine that even text me questions or information. So my text is 203-570-2898. And I will be looking at that. Some pre-questions came in. I even printed out one or two. So we will, like it or not, do some form of Q&A towards the end. But on that note, and without further ado, I think it's time to begin. So I mentioned the AI Native Family Office, what I built, what I run, and why it changes everything. Kind of inside the stack, an actual architecture for an AI native family office. I start with all I'm offering is the truth. Morpheus of Matrix. And the truth is, everything you've been told about AI in the family office is one generation behind what's actually possible. Therefore, welcome to the red pill. Everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. Now, here's what's changed in the last 2 years that most in our industry, and I'm going to be really broad with that. Entrepreneurs, obviously family offices, the world of finance. Here's what the industry really hasn't processed. AI doesn't just automate tasks. It replaces or augments the intelligence above the task. It reasons, it plans, it executes, it operates while you sleep, potentially, not 24/7, 168 hours a week. That is a different kind of technology than what most entrepreneurs, family offices, single family, doesn't matter, are kind of still debating. And in the next 30 or so minutes, I'm going to show you exactly, at least from a 30,000-foot view, what I've built, what I run, and how it works. No theory, no vendor pitch, no slides. I probably could use some slides that would help. But as the young ones say, let's go. So who is this for? Quick note on kind of who should be on the live or watching it and recording. Anyone who wants to get better relative to AI. Entrepreneur, young one, old, doesn't matter. Obviously, my focus is going to be on family office principals, rising gen, and family office executives, but this is really going to widely apply, I think, to basically, could I go with the word everyone? You have to think, are you a person mastering the tools or the person getting passed by from them? You have a choice. AI, this is an important one. AI is fuel for high agency people, period. Everyone else gets left behind, perhaps quietly. It's the worst way, over 24 to 36 months. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I say it because it's the truth. What did I start with? Morpheus. And the operators, the family offices, and others that I work with inside the world's wealthiest families, some of them are already 18 months into that 24. So, like a thesis, here's a thesis. One line, burn it in. Be the most aggressive user of AI in your field. How could you go wrong? That's how you survive. And for a time, don't dig too deeply into that, thrive in an AI world. Cautious or being cautious, that's the losing move. Cautious is the family office still evaluating whether to subscribe maybe for $20 a month to a chatbot, while the family office across the street or whatever, the entrepreneur is running agent swarms against standing mandates that are running 24 hours a day. And we're going to dive into all of this. Sit back, enjoy your morning coffee. The families moving faster aren't announcing it. That's the information asymmetry. And that's exactly why I'm opening up the door today. Really important. The arrogance trap. Don't be arrogant. Here's the part that nobody in our industry says out loud. I'm going to say it. Don't let your ego, your arrogance get in the way. If you built your career on your intelligence, knowledge, and your experience, and you're successful, you're smart, I get it. And most of the people in this live, they've done that. Let me ask you a hard question. How do you win? How do you win in 2 years if you don't adapt? Sure, experience is still your edge, but experience that refuses AI isn't an edge anymore. It's a liability. The people who win over the next couple of years, the next decade, are the ones who are senior enough to know what mattered and humble enough to learn new tools. Not one or both, not one or the other, but both. Again, don't be arrogant. I'm gonna have to stay on this one a little bit longer. The vast majority of people within the family office world have been very, very slow. And this applies to every industry, and Americans very slow to adapt to AI. Here in the US, 70% of people effectively are afraid of it and don't think it's as good as them. Let me go with that. Or as smart as them at a given task. In China, they reverse that. About 70% of the people, 70%, I'm sorry, embrace it. So to me, this comes down to, well, you don't identify how you utilize AI to have utility in an economic environment, basically how you profit from it. Your ideas, I know ChatGPT, I put in a sentence, it gives me back an okay answer, and I think I'm a master of prompter, and how come it's really not that good? Yet, I don't know, you travel the pockets in the Bay Area, in Austin, in Boston, even little parts of New York, hard to believe. There's incredible things going on. Look at these companies being built. Look at companies like Jack Dorsey and Block, you heard, let go of 40% of their workforce. Now, did they overhire probably earlier during COVID? Sure. But the train has left the station. There's no going back. AI is going to be horizontal in everything. Yet because you're smart, you think you are, you have an ego, and you're somewhat fearful. No, this is not better than me. I don't know, maybe 30 years, who knows? But now I'm good. I'm a human. I have a level of intelligence beyond raw IQ that's able to be creative and put things together. You know what? If you're in a given field of knowledge, legal, accounting, finance, and you're top 5 to 7% at the moment, you're probably right. But out of 100 people, 5 out of 100, okay, you're awesome. But 95 out of the 100 that I'm describing, not as much. I would rather be part of that 95 out of 100 that accepts that that works with tools that can make me incredible at the moment than that small percentage that might have a bit of an edge at the moment. Do you think they're going to have that edge in a week, in a month, when Claude Mythos comes out at the end of the year? Maybe for some, in a year and a half, 2 years, they're not. They're not. They are going to get steamrolled over. Most of the comments I get from LinkedIn and others are from smart people, well-meaning, and I learn from them. You're also arrogant as hell. You want to protect the system because how the world works for you is incredible and you don't want it to change. I'm going to tell you something that one of the most famous people in tech told me about 5 years ago, 6 years ago in Silicon Valley. Tech, in the end, always wins. Governments, people, you could all slow it down. At the end of the day, it's always going to win. Are you going to be on the winning team, accepting it and mastering it and being the best in your field at it? Or are you just going to let your arrogance step in a way and let it steamroll you over? Well, that will be your choice. Reframing the fear. Now, I know what the fear, even in the people live here, is because I hear it all the time, as I kind of just referenced. And basically, it's around, am I going to get replaced? Well, I can't guarantee that you won't, but I know, like I said, if you stay static, that you will. It's just eventually your principal, your employer, they're going to realize that you've fallen behind. But you don't have to get replaced. How about you get amplified? A lean, skilled team running inside this architecture operates at the scale that used to require multiples of the headcount. And again, it's never going to be worse than it is today. It's only getting better. It's not a threat to the family office, using that as my example. It's actually an expansion of it. Now, hold on. More family offices, not fewer. Let me say something again, the rest of the industry isn't saying. Most people assume AI shrinks the family office industry. Now, the specific family office or the staff, sure, fewer staff, but are you thinking fewer offices, smaller footprint? Wrong direction. The cost and complexity of running a serious family office dropped by the order of magnitudes. Families who can never justify, although I would have debated that, building one before, now they can. Families who outsourced everything, bring that back in-house. The barrier collapsed. So the result isn't fewer family offices, although they may be leaner. It's sophisticated, more sovereign, and more families pulling ahead. Don't think of the pie as shrinking. That's a negative, that's a defeatist attitude. Even if that, with the old adage that I talk about, weak people think the world is against them. Strong people don't care. There's another word. If it is, like, you got to have the right attitude here. And mindset plays into your early adoption of AI. Maybe we'll get to that. So the pie isn't shrinking, it's expanding. And the operators who understand that right now are the ones who build the next generation of this entire industry. So the goal isn't to just survive AI. The goal is to become the person inside it that no single hire could replicate. Maybe you become partially a department of one. How about you stack your skills? Skills have utility. The stack becomes your moat. Ask yourself honestly, how am I irreplaceable? That's the question everyone in this webinar kind of needs to sit on tonight. And I'm going to have some great tips for you. Back to the issue of more family offices. So given what we know in the US about lender versus the IRS for 2017, there's certain tax advantages depending on your situation that I may get having a properly structured, formal single family office as opposed to just being an ultra high net worth individual relative to deductibility. So for relatively modest structuring cost, and now again, easier with AI, I could have a family office. No one cares about my money like me. I could have the resources. I could utilize technology, and I don't need to have $500 million, $1 billion. I mean, my God, I got a friend. He says, you're not rich unless you're number 400 on the Forbes 400. And I believe that's 8.7 billion. So at 5 or 6 billion, I guess I'm not hyper rich, according to his perspective. Not that I'm even close to that number I noted. But one day, I'm striving. We all need a lion chasing us and something to strive for. So is it possible at 30 to 50, 50 to 100 million to have the formal identity of something that could be 24/7 dedicated to me and my continuity? Of course there is. And AI is the great accelerator of that. And there still will be pockets of 1 to 3 person teams that are often going to be needed. And in much larger family offices, still more, at least for now. So here's an exercise that I'd like for many of you to take beginning perhaps on Monday. Why don't you write it down? Before I even show you the stack, I want you to do something with me right now. Grab a pen or open whatever notes on your phone. Here's the assignment. It's free. And as simple as this is, I actually think it changes careers. Here we go. Beginning on the next business day, maybe you should do it over 2 or 3 days. Describe everything you do at work, the task, everything, into even whatever, Chat GPT, the newer model, of course, 5.5, Claude Opus 4.7, every email, every document, every spreadsheet, every task, every meeting prep, every principal correspondence, blah, 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 every report. Ask one question over and over. How could we do this better? Don't theorize. Don't even strategize. Just narrate your work, perhaps in real time, to AI for a full day. And thinking of these 3 questions. Where can AI fully replace this? And don't be afraid of that answer. Where can AI augment me so I can go multiple, 5 times faster? What higher value work can I finally get to if the list above that I'm inputting in is handled? By what, nights after that, you'll have a different understanding of what your job actually is. I promise you that. I watched that one exercise really change careers, not exaggerating. People who did it in January for some roundtables that I hosted that embraced AI, that embraced an open mindset and first principles, are really kind of going a little bit to a different level. The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. I wish I could say this is going to be easy for you. For many of you, it's not. Especially, again, if you let that ego and arrogance get in the way from your age, your fixed mindset, your past successes. Those are all going to be detriments to you. Leave them out the door. Go back to being the white belt. Be a beginner and have that open mindset. And in the back of our mind, we know you're smart and we know you have your experiences, but don't lead with that. Lead with more of the open mindset and learning and what's available to you at the moment. Something as simple as I described could be the beginning. Now, again, the beginning of the right mindset and the approach that you need to take. Effectively, most jobs are knowledge work is a series of tasks that could be broken down. Let's not complicate this. So integration first, the stack. Where do you start? Well, you start broadly with integration. Before you build anything custom, before you buy any hardware, before you hire an AI engineer or integration engineer, kind of take a look at a little bit. Now, I may be talking more family office talk here of kind of what you already have. What kind of system? Do you understand it? Does someone other than you have all the keys to the kingdom? That's not good. So what modern SaaS, software as a service platforms, are in your office now? Your accounting stack, your CRM, your document management, your reporting tools, your communications is either probably shipping AI natively now or exposing an API that can wire one into. The fastest wins comes from plugging frontier AI models, the ones you know, like Opus into the workflows you already run, not necessarily replacing them. And I don't think this is just about the obvious tools. It's not. You got to keep on widening your lens, and the impact that AI is having right now, and very much for sure by the end of the year into early next year, it's completely revamping and reshaping HR. Long needed. Your SaaS tech, you'll be able to create most of it yourself. Those also will likely be bad investments. Financial modeling, legal research, governance documents. By the way, AI could do an incredible job. Now, making me always one of the most popular figures in the industry, and sometimes hated. Governance is very important. How decisions are made. Having a sense of systems and structures, completely agree. Having a mission and vision statement for the family, having a constitution. Do you think that AI right now, if you know how to prompt, and we don't have time to go very deep into that, can't do a better job than probably 9 out of the 10 professionals? And even those that are incredible, that maybe at the moment, it's not doing as good of a job. It's instantaneous, and it's saving me a truckload of money. It guides me through a series of what's important to me and questions, and helps create documents that are engaging with the family. And then maybe I have someone who's really good help to customize it and tie it together and bring it to life at the end. For now, sure. But again, the industry is regulatory capture really is everywhere. Those of success, the status quo, they maybe including me in my industry, but I'm different. Like, they don't want things to change. They want you to be reliant on them. When the reality is, again, what did I say earlier? In the end, you could slow it down, but in the end, the tech will always, always win. Don't get steamrolled by this. Don't be ignorant, and realize people come with conflicting perspectives, biases that are to their benefit, not always to yours. Let's pick on, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's a pretty awesome platform, but let's talk a little bit about Bloomberg, or the terminal, for a moment. Because what most serious family offices in this country run a Bloomberg terminal, what, 25,000 per seat per year, the unquestioned standard for market data, for news, for analytics, fixed income, FX, derivatives pricing, execution. My God, I could go on and on. For 40 years, it has been the most powerful tool on the desk of most analysts, every PM, every CIO in our industry. Bloomberg isn't standing still. They've embedded AI throughout the terminal. Earnings calls, summarizations, document analysis, natural language Q&A across decades of filings and research, conversational search across the full Bloomberg Knowledge Graph. The terminal, used the same way for 20 years now, answers questions in plain English, kind of the way that an analyst would. But think a little deeper. There's a bigger shift. AI isn't just changing how you use Bloomberg, it's changing whether you need everything Bloomberg charges you for. Frontier models, again, like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Opus, etc., can now perform meaningful slices of analytical work, and we'll get a little deeper into this shortly, relax, that used to justify the seat. Macro research, comparable company analysis, earnings transcript synthesis. Some offices are already cutting Bloomberg seats and reallocating that budget towards internal and like resources to AI infrastructure that effectively does more. And one of my catchphrases, effectively this all AI, no matter what industry, but I'm going to focus a little more on the family office industry, it makes you do more with less, better and faster, period. And it's not going to get worse than it is today. I'm not telling you to drop Bloomberg. I'm telling you the moat. How about this? The moat is thinner than it was a year ago, certainly 2 years ago. And the family office that actively is reassessing every 5-figure software seat in their stack against AI capability is the family office that's going to operate with structural cost advantage, internal resources fluidity and speed that their peers just don't have. The vendors are doing some of this work for you, sure. In other places, you have to do it yourself. But the principle holds across all of them. Every workflow you currently run is going to look different in 18 months, right? Whether you drive it or not. So now let's get a little bit back to the ramp. The frontier models, you're going to want to look to layer a Claude Opus 4.7, the newer, much bigger improvement to OpenAI's ChatGPT 5.5. Get it? Gemini, Grok, like into what? The SaaS you're already paying for? Turn on the AI features your vendors probably have already shipped, and most family offices haven't even utilized or flipping them on. You pay for it. Things that you don't control that could leak your IP, by the way, all things we'll, I think, touch on in the coming minutes. And how about this? Tell AI the outcomes you want, not the task, the outcomes. The single shift in how you prompt is the difference between AI being simply a toy that you're disappointed in because it's a Ferrari that you don't know how to drive, or it's AI being leveraged and you're like a Lewis Hamilton there. Every integration is a dress rehearsal for the next deeper build. This is the on-ramp. Most family offices, entrepreneurs, finance, legal, accounting, whatever, you're all going to be lumped in here. Bring it in. Never need to go further than this to see a meaningful operational lift. But the ones really pulling ahead definitely go further. And that's where kind of the real stack begins. Like I hinted at this earlier, build your own, something called vibe coding. Now, here's the part almost no one in our industry internalized yet. You can now build, do you understand this? Your own applications by simply talking to the AI. That's vibe coding. You describe what you want in plain English. The model writes the code. You refine it in a conversation. I mean, I'm making that pretty simple. So to give you context, I'm a 60-year-old male. Never graduated from a bachelor's degree in college, not tech savvy, and 2 years ago got extremely active in hands-on practical utilization of AI. And October of this past year, so what, 6 months ago, I created my own app and even got it on the App Store. Since then, I created multiple apps and I don't have a tech background. If I could do it, you could do it. And since 6 months ago, it's gotten way easier. Claude overall is amazing. Claude Code, all these platforms, what ChatGPT is doing, it's incredible. And again, it's never going to be worse than it is today. So from an investing perspective, I briefly hinted at earlier, went over some of your heads, what's going to happen to some of your SaaS investments, but maybe more day-to-day to what we're talking about today. You could customize and take more control over what you're building specifically for you. That's not saying certain SaaS platforms are going to be too complex to replicate, have other benefits and services. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you need to think a little differently than you're doing now, and you'll be shocked about what you could do. So I did mention the one that I probably use the most, and I know it's getting more expensive with token use and there's other frustrations, but Claude Code is so good. Claude Cowork is so good. The new Claude design, like incredible. But back to Claude Code. It turns intent into working software without a developmental team, and very quickly, like maybe in minutes to hours, standing between you and the outcome. Remember what I said earlier about outcomes? What used to take maybe a 6-month engineering engagement and hundreds of thousands in fees now can happen in an afternoon, and you could do it. Let me be specific. A custom dashboard built for, in a family office example, a principal with reporting preferences, an internal tool that matches your family's workflows, not some vendor's assumptions about what a family office should look like. Private utilities that would never have justified probably buying a SaaS license prototypes that become production systems in days, not quarters. The barrier to custom software is poof, it collapsed. I mean, really, about a year ago. If I'm doing it 6 months ago, it collapsed, and it's just so much better now. The families pulling ahead are already through this. They're not smarter than you. They're taking earlier actual actions. And I promise you, once you build your first internal tool by talking to Claude, you will never look at a SaaS renewal invoice in the same way again. That doesn't mean you're not going to need it. You're going to be more selective and you're going to know more, and you're going to be shocked if I could do it, you could do it, what you could build. So let me tell you a little bit about some tools and resources that can cost some money. In terms of the hardware, the architecture, you got to start to put in your order for the Mac Mini. I would get the souped up Max one for the 3K. I would get multiple, but we'll get a little bit to that when I talk about OpenClaw. A Mac Studio for consolidated workloads, and yes, that could be serious dollars. A MacBook Pro M5, the big laptop, a traveling machine for the principal and the team. And you want to get a more hardcore, and I could keep on going up the stack of price, but NVIDIA DGX Spark for kind of the heaviest inference. But I'm telling you, these Mac Minis maxed out, whoa, incredible what I'm doing. So frontier models, which y'all already heard of, accessed even through API, maybe contained through Amazon Bedrock. We're not going to have too much time to dig deep into that, but I mentioned Claude Opus 4.7. For me, it acts kind of as my orchestrator. We'll get to that when I talk about OpenClaw. The new ChatGPT 5.5 Codex Desktop, best in class, debatably for knowledge work now, and really a big step up. Kudos to OpenAI for now kind of being in the game. Gemini 3.1 Pro, very large context window, really good for investments. Nano Banano, great for images, but now ChatGPT is kind of a powerhouse on that as well. Grok 4 heavy, real-time market and social intelligence. Maybe other models have more of a knowledge cutoff with that, but Grok is reading the world as it is now. And on the horizon, you heard me talk about it and others, Claude's practically mythical at this point. Mythos, I kind of keep on pronouncing it Mythos. I don't know right now what the 40 firms have it for cyber control and intelligence. Do we get it in a week, a month, end of the year? If not, other companies are going to catch up and have their own version of this. It's inevitable. This is getting really close. I don't quite know how you would define AGI or into ASI, but man, we're starting, if it's even 90% true, Mythos is going to be incredible. Now, we're hitting constraints on compute. I don't want to make it a deep discussion from that. In short, these companies are going to have to get more creative. We're going to need more energy. That could be an investment theme, but only so much of that you could do relatively, quote unquote, quickly. And I'm afraid they're going to have to start to raise the price for access to some of the best resources and more continuous use. I do think you are going to see plan prices start to skyrocket, especially when Mythos comes out. But again, a subject for a bit of a different time. Now, those models, debatably, well, not debatably, you could bleed your information to the cloud. You don't own it. It trains on your answer, potentially helping another peer or competitor on the hard work that you put in. So you have to understand about open weight models. And that's where the souped out Mac Mini and some of the more hardcore hardware that I mentioned earlier could come even a little bit more into play. These are programs that never touch the cloud. You don't bleed your IP. Think of GLM 5.1, of Google's Gemma, of Qwen, of DeepSeek, of Kimi, very powerful program for an open weight, by the way, Llama. Now, are these quite at the cutting edge of the more public-facing frontier models? No, they're about 6 months behind. You do have to integrate and be hybrid. knowing for deep reasoning and certain things, what I call orchestration, where you should use the frontier models. And by the way, we're not going to have time today. If you don't know how to prompt, this all goes to, you get 10% of the value. The vast majority of you do not prompt well. Now, I'm going to talk about membership in my masterclass and training with all that. That's coming up towards the end. But that is a big problem. We just don't have the time to go into the nuances, the science and art to that, and how it's actually getting easier if you use the AI to help you prompt. But at the end of the day, yeah, these are public-facing models. They want to make more and more money, and they could be taking from you, or if nothing else, you don't own it, they could shut you off. I don't like you. The government told me to shut your account. You're done. Open weight models, you download that model. It doesn't touch the cloud. You download it on your hardware. You have complete control. And for what you need for execution, you don't need the most cutting edge model. So some of the platforms that I noted, you have to learn the art and science of when to use frontier, deep reasoning, orchestration, how to structure it, how to set it up, and how to use open weight to keep your most proprietary data and your execution, also to save on cost. You don't have to worry about the cost that you do on Opus and ChatGPT, and all of those are going to be skyrocketing. You take control. The pattern is simple, like I noted. Orchestrate through frontier, execute through open weight. Right now in OpenClaw, I don't know what it is. Opus just is the best for the high-level orchestration layer, deeper thinking. So I guess the Opus 4.7, but the open weight models running on your own hardware, stacking your Mac minis and other computers is far more secure, private, yours, sovereign, cheaper, sovereign 24/7. That's the architecture, keeping it simple. And that's what kind of pulling ahead and understanding some of this actually begins to look like. Now, I know, AI to really go to another level, it's got to do more than chat. If you master prompting, you know about temperature and context windows. You know how to make the systems, which is better for what, and how to make them battle each other. All things we teach in the masterclass. But in the end, to really accelerate, you need to go from chat to the AI is actually doing things. So now we're talking more in the AI agent category, autonomous, recursive, self-learning. All of this is coming at us so quick. Agent swarms. So many of you have heard about OpenClaw. That is a piece, a open source, doesn't cost anything, that ties it all together. Kind of a multi-agent intelligence system. Can be, now we could debate this a little bit, the center of an AI native family office. It's not a chat interface. It's not a software subscription. It's a coordinated architecture of deeper thinking, AI agents going from chat to doing things, operating, understanding mandates, running continuously. And the Mac minis could be incredible for that. That's a combination of how it's structured, battery life, all that. Running continuously on your own hardware, executing intelligence work around the clock without being prompted. Audience, I promise I will get to your questions. I have some printed out. I have some coming in with text. About 10 more minutes. We're getting there. This is very important for you. So stay with me. So how this all scales, at least again, 30,000 foot view. A single OpenClaw, the entry point, one persistent agent, running, orchestrating against standing mandates, monitoring things you told it to care about, silent until something, quote unquote, crosses the threshold. Inevitably, you're going to have to go to multiple OpenClaws, perhaps 5, a full swarm, parallel agents, each covering like a different domain of intelligence gathering, a portfolio, counterparty, compliance, a custom domain, even unique to the family. And really each claw, now we're getting slightly into the weeds, an AI integration engineer or even someone like me would be very valuable, understanding a soul file that encodes the principles, values, judgment, and communication preferences into quote unquote an OpenClaw, a heartbeat, continuous self-verification, silent when correct, but escalates the instant something deviates, and kind of understanding task and standing mandates, not scheduled reports, but continuous active intelligence that makes it unique. Trigger conditions, escalation logic, routing, etc. Now, again, we're diving a little bit deeper now, and this is really where my books, membership masterclasses will honestly come into play. But underneath the clause, you have to use Weaviate, the vector memory layer. OpenClaw doesn't just act, it remembers across sessions, across years, building institutional context permanently, but you got to set that up right. It's a little tricky. Obsidian is the human's capture layer, the second brain, so to speak. The family's knowledge doesn't live in email threads. It's dangerous, right? It lives here. Paperclip, very important. Governs how agents coordinate. OpenClaw decides what to pursue. Sure, Paperclip manages how these agents execute without collision or drift. A Hermes 3 is interesting. Ground level execution, fast, instructive following. Hermes makes it remarkably easy to spin up multiple agents at once, where other frameworks make agent creation, honestly, kind of feel like a pretty intense software engineering project. Hermes makes it feel more like writing like a job description that matters when your architecture grows beyond one claw and certainly beyond 5. Now, those of you that don't mind touching the cloud, that want simplicity, Claude's new, again, Anthropic Claude is doing incredible things. Their managed agents, that's Anthropic's hosted layer, is maybe the bridge for families not yet running on full premises infrastructure. I think that's the word that I was looking for. So some of you that are hearing me, oh my God, these AI agents, I got to buy this, I got to do that, I got to coordinate this, I may need, read Angelo's books, do the masterclass. Yes, of course, you should do all of that. But an easier road in is the simplicity, maybe initially, of your workflows and working with Claude managed agents. I promise it's not that hard and you could do it. Now, again, whether you're barely driving that Ferrari or whether you're driving it like a Lewis Hamilton, and does that matter? Oh, of course it matters. But at least I want to see some self-starting and that you're taking an initiative. Sorry, folks, I love my Pellegrino sparkling water. Now, one service that I do love is the Perplexity computer. It's not literally a computer. Perplexity is a unique model. Every intelligence system has confirmation bias problems, sure. OpenClaw runs on the mandates you wrote, the models you engineer or choose, the logic built to find what you told it to find. It's extraordinarily good at finding what it's oriented to find. It's not designed really to challenge itself. Perplexity computer is structurally independent. That's important. A different model stack, a frontier one that ties into some of the major systems and has its own unique filtering and structure within it. A different retrieval architecture, no knowledge of what your primary system concluded. When OpenClaw and Perplexity reach the same conclusion through independent paths, that's the signal. When they diverge, that's something perhaps worth examining before it costs you. No, it's not redundancy, one of you will probably ask. It's an adversarial verification, and what, for $200 a month against decisions that this architecture supports, it's probably the cheapest insurance in the entire stack. The difference between a family office that reacts to the world and a family office that anticipates it, I go back to a couple of minutes ago when I started with OpenClaw. Could you go the more touching the cloud and somewhat more constrained Claude managed agent? Sure. Are there ways to build variations of like an OpenClaw on your own? Of course there is. although that would be with an engineer and a lot of work and may not be as good and may cost a lot of money. Are there competitors? I mentioned Hermes 3 is more of a system that you could coordinate with OpenClaw. In theory, you could have the base Hermes as well as a replacement for OpenClaw. Some people are starting to recommend that. Claude, OpenClaw has somewhat of a higher ceiling and may be better in a variety of ways, but Hermes is no joke. I would, and just starting to myself, and having some help with an AI integration engineer, utilizing both of these and beginning to understand it so I could be more strategic, even tactical in the advisory and work that I do with a lot of different people, but of course, definitely with family offices. So there's some operational principles, 5 principles, burn these in. One, like, just understand, do you really want to be bleeding your IP to the cloud? Why don't you take ownership? Don't rent. A little bit like I own my gold and it's physically secure versus I own it on paper. I have a claim to it. 2, integrate first. Extend the AI your existing tools are already shipping with. 3, the build. 5, code the applications no vendor will ever build for you. 4, run agents 168 hours a week. They don't sleep. You get to. 5, do more. Hey, it's one of my catchphrases. Do more with less, better, and faster, period. That's the whole philosophy effectively on one page. I'm going to take it now to the close. We're going to look at some of the questions. I got some coming in. I got some that I printed out with some of my members pre all this. So I'm going to go back a little bit to what I said really about all of this, but relative to Claude Code. When you talk to your SaaS providers and those, I mean, come on, of course, they're going to think what they're doing is the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, you can't do this on your own. No, you need us, because what they built is you're threatening to it. The fact that this is getting easier for you to do internally, the fact that maybe as a larger scale family office, you're going to onboard an AI engineer or AI integration engineer, which larger scale, you definitely should. And yeah, like, I don't know if you could build something far quicker, more private and customized for you, and it's 85% as good and wickedly cheaper. Is that good enough? And again, what did I say? It's never going to be worse than it is today. If you have the right resources, the gumption, some level of capital, and internal talent, imagine in a year from now, a year and a half from now, 2 years from now, you could be spinning off a whole bunch of different things. And a lot of what you're using in SaaS is really not going to be needed. Others in my role that get money from sponsorships from companies like that are never going to say that. One, they just don't know what they don't know. They're too ignorant to understand and be practical users of this. But they also have a model that's going to be 100% conflicted. The advisors that you use, the technical consultants that you use that are embedded in the existing system, they don't want that to change. When are you going to wake up to all these realities, all the farce and challenges that happen in the family office world? That doesn't mean that they're not good people, that they're not in the moment providing value. I'm just saying you probably need to question everything. Everything is changing, and you could do way more internally than you ever thought that you could, and especially with the right resources. Maybe, and throwing out a little bit of a broad question, like, what keeps you up at night? Maybe what keeps you up relative to thinking about AI and technologies and workflows and your job and security, really everything in the family office? Because that's probably where the real conversation lives, kind of in the fear, the opportunity you haven't moved on yet, the thing you know you should do or be building upon, and you know what I'm talking about, inherently you know it's correct, but you just haven't. I mean, drop it in the chat now if you want. I'll read them. We'll talk about them. I have way more questions than answers. I'm not an AI engineer. I'm not a technologist. I use some of those people to help me get sometimes that final 10 or 15%, and certainly could help you relative to that as well. Now, right before we get to the questions, everything I share today is kind of a little bit of a preview. in person in New York City on June 23rd and 24th, I'm convening my AI Family Office Masterclass, 2 full immersive days with the greatest AI and family office instructors in the world. Oh, I'm a part of it, but I'm not going to put me into that category. And your peers that have walked through it, like I have, and made the mistakes, sure. It's an intimate room, 8, 12, 12, 13. They are incredible. They are entrepreneurs, AI integration in their heart, built companies, sold them, run their own family office. Like there's like inheritors and next rising gen and how they're integrating AI. This, and again, whether you're a multifamily office, a single family office, an ultra high net worth, or even someone in the adjacent industries broadly in finance or a rising entrepreneur, okay, some of it's going to be a little bit targeted to the single family office, my bread and butter, but like 80 to 90% of it, you're going to be able to translate and use in terms of what you do. This is real hands-on, you bringing your computer some level of actual building and vibe coding and seeing how Claude Code works, learning how to prompt, learning the nuances, what I talk about with OpenClaw. Not theory, actual builds, integrating AI into the SaaS you already run, how to vibe code your own tools into existence, how to deploy OpenClaw or Hermes inside your own family office, how to structure your hardware stack, how to have greater security and cybersecurity, where you could go wrong with OpenClaw and where to be careful, how to orchestrate Opus with open weight execution. Or, on OpenClaw is ChatGPT 5.5, the better option. And in 2 months, that will be different than it is now. How to stand up and believe in your own sovereign infrastructure that your family owns permanently, and how to make yourself, your principal, your office, and you irreplaceable. You leave with a blueprint that could, like, pre the event, you get a level of access and private resources and my books. After the event, you get some level of handholding. If you're a member, you're with me over the course of a full year. A full year. The masterclass, the in-person masterclass is where the work gets done. The families pulling ahead right now are compounding their knowledge. The sooner you start, your mindset gets better for it. You learn it when it may be a little more difficult. That causes you to focus, to take pride in what you're executing, and it gives you compounding knowledge that in this world, a week, a month, 6 months could mean everything. Go to my angelorobles.com, my website. Go to membership and join. Let's guarantee and lock you in, if you do that right now, to that masterclass. Will I have others in August and in November? Yes. You could attend multiple of them, like your favorite movie. The more time you watch it, the nuances you pick up, and even 2 to 4 months later, things change. So you get all of it and the opportunity for peer-to-peer connectivity. Okay, so like what we covered is kind of a 30,000 foot view in architecture. The harder questions, the ones that principals, operators, executives, trustees, whoever should be asking are maybe next. Drop them in the chat. Text me 203-570-2898. Let's all make it happen. Put your questions in now. We'll see if we could keep this maybe 15 or 20 minutes. But I want it to be real. I want it to provide value and maybe be more nuanced to your question relative to my more broad overview. But I all hope you enjoyed it. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a builder, had a recent exit, a family office principal, a rising gen, an executive, or in the world of finance, adjacently, really a lot of different industries, a lot of this is very valuable and takeaways for you. Start now. The compounding is real. It will never be worse than it is today. And a lot of the tips and things that I mentioned, even starting with my Morpheus quote, are all things that are going to be very valuable from your mindset and how you think about this. You could do it. If I could do it, you could do it. And be a part of something special in my private intelligence and strategy community for the ultra high net worth family offices at angelorobles.com. It's easy. You could go there, join, become a member. You'll get my books, A Manifesto, the AI Native Single Family Office, A Manifesto for Families Pulling Ahead in 2026, and my 10 Things a Family Office Should Be Doing Now with AI. You'll get my 850 questions in the Family Office Playbook, my other resources, including my 700-page, that's a barn burner to read, Creating a Top 1% Family Office, and upcoming my Sovereign Risk and Disaster Preparedness for Family Offices, events in Palm Beach, Miami, New York, Vienna, Mexico City, LA coming up in a couple of days. So join me there. There is a lot going on. Stop sitting on the fence, jump on in. And again, you're going to get access guaranteed to those masterclasses. On that note, we're going to start to switch over to some Q&A. Okay, thank you. It just says LinkedIn user, so I can't give you a shout out, but I appreciate your kind words. Sure, if you wanted to DM me, if you wanted to email me, it's angelo@angelorobles.com. Again, that should be pretty easy to figure out from my website. And I also have a contact tab. Again, the website is angelorobles.com. For those of you a little bit newer to me, I promise we're going to get to the questions in a minute. I've been in the family office community a long, long time. I'm the original founder and near multi-decade CEO at Family Office Association out of Greenwich, Connecticut. I sold that, kept all my social media handles, including @FamilyOffice on X and YouTube, and got really excited about creating SFO Continuity, my private intelligence and strategy community, dedicated primarily to principals, entrepreneurs, and of course, family offices. And I'm so fortunate having many, many dozens and dozens of incredible members around the world, including some of the most iconic families and family offices. And they get my proprietary content, the books that I noted, the private videos I do for them, some of the one-on-ones, a little bit more of the hand-holding, and the programs I host around the world from LA, New York, Palm Beach, Miami, Vienna, Cayman Islands. I forgot to mention that one earlier. It's been an exciting time. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I push boundaries on geopolitics, macro investing, and AI. I find the industry to be boring, vanilla, very little creative thought leadership, glorified event planners, and full of sponsors. To turn that around, you have to pay. You have to be a member. Then we keep it more of an exclusive group, a peer group, and provide deeper intellectual capital. I don't have investors. I don't got to worry about what I say. If you disagree, I don't care. And it's okay to have disagreement. That creates active discussion because maybe I'm wrong and I could change my mind. So I go back to also what I said earlier about arrogance broadly for anyone, usually over 40, who's had a level of success and probably has a level of intelligence, things I could learn from you. Absolutely. And I'm not always right. I'm wrong. I want to keep an open mind. But many of you are going to let your ego, arrogance, and that comes back to some level of ignorance and fear, get in the way. It's going to get in the way. Go back if you didn't watch earlier in my video. That's going to get in the way of your adapting, your learning, and you being more open-minded. You are protecting your turf. You think, I'm a human. I have intelligence that AI will never touch. Never. Really? Like it's already touching. Imagine what's going to happen tomorrow, next month, end of the year after. How about 3 years from now? Like, how about 5 years from now? Like, I want you to be successful. I want this to be something. I want your children to be involved in my organization and the masterclass. Bring them, bring it on. And please don't let your arrogance and protecting your turf of what you do and your biases, we all have them, and your imperfections, which you have as well, get in the way. At least learn how to use these resources, adapt yourself, and have better quality in your effectiveness and efficiencies using what's available now. Imagine, again, tech always wins. It'll never be worse than it is today. Just reading. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a complex question. From ROI early to long-term ROI, IRR, you're starting to talk more from an investing perspective now. So maybe email me privately if you so desire, angelo@angelorobles.com. I have conversations with people on Saturday and Sundays. I've done 11 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty fanatical about what I do. But I did promise I would get, here's some member questions to me that came in yesterday. Effectively, Angelo, I don't know where to start. Well, earlier in the video, I spoke about kind of write down over 1, 2, or 3 days what you do. Try to have it be diverse. When you get up from a work perspective, what's your task? Break it down. And then, like I said, drop that into an AI, but you got to kind of know how to prompt. So there's some art and science there, and have it analyze what you're doing that could be automated, could be augmented that you do better, and what you could do given what it knows about your skill set, your role in the task, to take your creativity and the work that you do to kind of another level. Maybe initially pick one workflow, ingest one document type, draft one reoccurring memo. I promise you, if I could do it, you could do it. Nothing special about me. I'm just a pretty resilient son of a gun. So are you. And you're probably smarter than me. You can handle it. If you want to begin to compress 6 months of figuring things out into 2 days, well, the hands-on of being a member in the masterclass on June 23rd and 24th, and there'll be others to come, are really going to be where you have to jump in and really get a hold of that. Okay, here's another that popped in. How do I reconcile putting most of my family's sensitive information, positions, blah, 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 into AIs? Would a breach of data be catastrophic? That concern is right, and why most family offices also should not be running what they're currently running today. Cybersecurity broadly is a major risk. Most of you don't know what you're doing. Most of you have one person, probably not that good, that kind of has the keys to the kingdom. Bad, bad, bad. What's your systems? What's your policies? What's your operating procedures around a variety of different things, including cyber? What's going to happen when Claude Mythos comes out and probably demolishes your family office? And I'm not even lightening that. It's true. Now, we're going to cover some broad content in the coming months with some of the true leaders on that. My members are going to get exclusive access to content on that. That's going to make up a little bit of the masterclass as well. But I go back to, like, don't think that your security at these banks, these SaaS companies, is so perfect. They're so good. Like it's not. And bringing this more internal and knowing how to do it right with the hardware and taking control actually makes you more secure. It doesn't make you less secure. And I go back to what I said also about the open weight models on premises and not bleeding your IP in the cloud through too much use of mainly of your proprietary data to these frontier models. Sure, enterprise programs like Bedrock and others are an enhancement over not doing something like that, but taking complete control. Now, yes, are there things that could go wrong there? All things in the future that we're going to talk about. There is nothing perfect. There is no perfect solution. But you putting your head in the sand for reasons that I noted earlier, and even going back to that first question, use me as your example. A 60-year-old male, not tech savvy at all, figuring it out, and now created dozens of apps, multi-agent swarms, and doing some pretty amazing things for myself and family offices. If I could do it, I promise you, you could. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You have to start now. Understanding the frontier models, where each is better, learning how to prompt, understanding nuances of that, knowing how to design images, go into Claude managed agents, understanding more of the platforms, and then inevitably working up. What I basically help you do, if you join and be a part of it, which again, some of you on the questions already are, is I accelerate that significantly, put a little bit, including me, of a one-on-one resource kind of 24/7 available to you, and put you in touch as needed with the right quote unquote AI integration engineers and others. And some of them maybe open to full-time positions in larger scale family offices. So no, I can't. There's another one that popped up, I think on X, like, I'm 52. Am I too old? No. What did I just say? I'm way older than you. Way older than you. Probably not as smart as you. And I did it. I figured it out. You could too. This helps. There's resources. If you're a member, my ebooks, the masterclasses, all that. Like, there are resources out there. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Find the time, get it done. If you don't, you will be toast in a long enough time frame, depending on your skill set, how entrenched you are. We could debate that time frame, but this is inevitable. OpenClaw specifically, realistically, what does it cost to set up OpenClaw? Like, not much. I'd want to have at least the Mac Mini completely dedicated, not touching other resources in your family office, maxed out $3,000. OpenClaw free, paperclip free, Obsidian, super cost effective. And even the $20 a month Frontier models does not take a lot of money. Could you get by with the cheapest $600 Mac Mini? In some ways you could. If you're tying an API to Anthropic or ChatGPT that's not taking up open weight on your platform, maybe you're okay with potentially bleeding a little bit of IP. Could other resources download limited open weight models that you control that don't take up as much space, that are more targeted to some executions? Probably. So damn, could I do this for probably close to $1,000? I think I could. But 3,000 would be better. And multiple Mac Minis and other services, maybe closer to 15 or 20K would be optimal, at least as quasi a good starting point. What about my team? What did I say about Morpheus from Matrix earlier? Tell them the truth. There will be people who begin to master these tools and they'll become indispensable. Learn how to collaborate, do more together. Now, sure, our family office is effectively going to do more with less, better and faster. It's inevitable. But what did I say earlier about more people of even 50 to 300 million net worth could and should, for a variety of reasons, and control, privacy, and customization, create their own family office that were not capable before, and that opens up additional positions. Of course, and globally, some of these things are exploding. There is a tremendous opportunity. Someone states, I cannot attend the masterclass in New York. Can I communicate with you via email to understand how I could best use your resources? Sure. Text 203-570-2898 or email angelo@angelorobles.com. Now, yes, again, we are a membership organization. It's up on my website, angelorobles.com. You should simply just join. And even if you can't make those dates because you got something else going on, you'll get my books. You'll get the one-on-one with me, maybe LA next week when I'm there, May 2nd through 5th. And then I'm going to be in the Northeast, mainly in Greenwich and in New York and some of that surrounding area for about 4 to 5 months. And I'm going to have other masterclasses later in the summer. So I'm not even heading into Labor Day yet. And first week in November, and other masterclasses on top of that on a more broad array of subjects. But AI is very horizontal, from investing to geopolitics to macro. It's really touching everything. So that connectivity, that peer-to-peer, and some of the amazing people that I've interviewed and that attended and spoke at my event, like Dr. Alexander Wisnergross and others, incredible. What a great resource. Imagine meeting him in person at future events. We're already in conversations and look forward to making that happen, and other thought leaders as well. Bring on the questions, everyone. It's all good. I kind of hinted or touched on the one with cybersecurity already. Yeah, do I think Hermes is better than OpenClaw? It's getting interesting. I have to hesitate and think about it. Do I know exactly which one is going to be the permanent, no such thing in AI world, permanent one for me 6 months from now? I don't know. I know that I want to learn how to kind of master both of them, learn how to integrate them, where one has an edge over the other. How could they work together? I know that I need the institutional layer of Obsidian, or more so Weavigate, in terms of memory. So I need to, again, I admit this is a level of science, but art. It's not all science. There is a level of art to it. and getting some hand holding from an AI integration engineer and with OpenClaw on the heartbeat and the soul. And I know I'm talking weird verbiage if you're not too familiar with it. And don't believe all the negative psyop relative to OpenClaw. Is it a little complex? It can be. Does it sometimes break down? If you're a larger family office, you should be having an AI engineer full time, and then that's nothing for you. But again, I'm figuring this out. So you can't tell me that you or someone from your team can't be more dedicated to this and do this too. But yes, it is a little frustrating sometimes. But the compounding of knowledge, the mindset, the early start, as opposed to you waiting a year or two, don't do that. Stop waiting. I mean, you're always waiting. Someone gave me this example yesterday for the next version of the iPhone to come out. You're going to get nothing, or you're going to be stuck in something from 10 years old. You just have to move forward with what's available. Oh, but the Mac Mini, the M5 chip, it's going to be out soon, right? Like, I don't know, September, October, November. Get one now. I know it's not my money, so it's easy for me to spend it for you. Stop hesitating. Stop being ignorant and fearful. Move forward. There were some other broad questions that came in. Some of you wanted to reach out to me more privately to even discuss membership. That's great. My website's pretty descriptive. I could probably update some things a little bit, but effectively it's all there. You all know what to do. And sure, I'm going to get some hate sometimes in DMs and in comments on some of the platforms, often by really interesting and smart people that I think I could learn something from. But then I look at a little bit of their background, a little bit of their commentary, a little bit, ironically, did AI even write your commentary? And you're talking some grains of truth. I'm listening. Maybe I'm a little too future forward thinking relative to where we are now. I am 100% right. You could effectively debate some of my timelines, but I look at what turf are you protecting? What biases do you have? These are incredible resources. And some of you think that when it comes to governance and areas around that, that you're good, you're protected, or you're a high IQ and none of this for decades will ever touch you. You are just wrong. You're so wrong. It's laughable. Please tap into me. I have human emotions, arrogance, ego, fear. I get caught in echo chambers. You all do too. Sure, we have different level of skills, intellect, complex to define. IQ certainly is a part of it. Our experiences, our goals and aspirations. Where we are now, where we want to be. So it does need to be customized. It is unique and different per person, but there are some principles that we do learn that could be valuable to move forward on. Be a lifelong learner. Have an open mindset. Let your arrogance and ego, let it stay at the door. There's still more for you to learn. To think that you're so perfect that this isn't going to touch you, that you're good, you're smart, your intelligence is more than just a linear form of IQ, that this is not going to catch up with you and blow you out the door if that's where you hang your hat on and your pride in. I don't understand. So you could talk all you want, make your comments. I'm not the most likable person in the family office world. From my perspective, like Morpheus, I simply feel I speak the truth. Don't feel I have all the answers, have way more questions, and always want to be buried in a white belt, a beginner in this community that I love, that I ingratiate myself in, and that I'm in. I just feel it's so disappointing. Sponsor after sponsor, people protecting their turf, not open-minded to how things are adapting and changing, which creates, I guess, opportunity for me. I believe this video, whether you're live or watching it, and what I'm doing in my membership and my masterclasses is incredibly valuable and unique. Who cares whether I'm likable or not? That really shouldn't matter. How could you turn this knowledge into a skill. Skills have utility that provide economic value for you and your family. I don't know what 10 or 15 years out is going to hold. I'm not Ray Kurzweil. I don't yet have a crystal ball. I'm pretty good at extrapolating some things future forward, but I'm wrong my fair share. Have been wrong in the past, will be wrong moving forward. Directionally, the things that I'm talking about, come on, it's obvious. Timelines we could somewhat debate a little bit, and there are things that could get in the way. Taiwan being invaded, nuclear war, and other things. There's lots of challenges. Regulatory capture, which I hinted at earlier, which to me, even on the large corporation level or local level, it's protecting your turf. You don't want competition. You don't want an even playing field. You want to make it harder and harder for others to enter. You don't want this to change what for you is working great. Great. However you perceive that, maybe not as well for others, and you want to protect that turf. No good. And that's not going to work because the reason, for short times it could. In the end, the tech will always win. Am I going to the Bitcoin conference in Vegas this week? I do enjoy Vegas. I like poker. I got great friends there. I got some family office relationships there. I've even shot some videos last April on the Strip. But sadly, either Vegas or Bitcoin, I won't be there. I still like Bitcoin. I got a pretty big guest in crypto coming up in mid-May after I'm back from LA. I'll announce that more as we get closer. I'm not as active in that as I used to be, but conceptually, for a small percentage, still an advocate and a believer. And I do like Vegas, but sadly, I won't be there. Someone states that they only know what they're missing. And there's things that I'm missing too. But I only have so much time in the day, so many books I could read, forecast, X accounts, YouTube videos. I have to be a little bit more condensed and concentrated. And I want to be careful that I still maintain my own thoughts and could think for myself. And I think that's a very important lesson. And speaking of Bitcoin, when I had Michael Saylor on, it's the main thing he said he learned from MIT, how to think for himself. And I do believe that's important. So I know I come at this a little bit loud, a little bit with a sense of bravado, a little bit like there is no other solution. And again, timelines, I might be a little off. We could debate that. There's some people like Alexander Wisnergross that feel my timelines are too slow, that all of this is happening much quicker in the next year and 2 and 3 than I thought. Suppose he's right. And actually, I'm the one that's too slow. And then if I'm too slow, imagine how 99% of you are relative to this. I am not the enemy that some portray me to be of the executive in the family office. I could be your hope, your best friend, relative to everything I spoke about in this video, my books, my resources, my community, which I take you in when you become a member. I bring you into this community. And I want you to be incredibly successful for you and your family. I think about all of that. So, sure, I do public debates. I debate at events on a variety of different family office topics. I got former friends that are not as friendly with me anymore because I feel I'm a little combative on certain topics in the family office world with them. I just feel the industry needs to adapt, and it's happening so slow. And I go back to that ego and arrogance, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed it. It doesn't look like, other than a couple of comments, that there's much questions more coming in. I appreciate. I'll take a look at this, the ones that I got. Phone is on do not disturb. So, oops, I guess I missed a couple. But I will get to some of those a little bit one-on-one, and some of the emails I'm getting. Everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. I'm the founder of an organization called SFO Continuity and Billionaire Mastermind. Go to my angelorobles.com, and really, most effectively, the most value you get, and these master classes you're a part of and they come to life for you in person, is by joining and becoming a member. And you will join many, many other incredible families, including some of literally the largest, most successful families and family offices on earth. And I just got so much ideas and content and resources between now and the end of the year. Things are happening so fast, and I'm so excited. And I would love for you to be a part of it. Go to angelorobles.com and jump on board today. Some of you I'm going to see in LA. I look forward to being there next Sunday through Wednesday. Lots going on around the Milken. I have a lot of member activities going on. It's going to be great. And then I come back here in greater Greenwich, Connecticut, and New York, and a little bit of a stop for a week or two this summer in Jackson Hole. So look forward to Wyoming as always. There's a lot going on, everyone. Come on board. I appreciate you. Have an incredible remainder of the weekend. Thank you.